we have all of this vocabulary. Listen, the first one is a smartphone. We have a smartphone, tablet, because there are not only iPads, there are tablet is the correct word to refer to that type of device. The iPad is a tablet, laptop, a desktop. This is a bigger computer. That's why it's called a desktop, because you put it on a desk, desktop. Smart TV, online, text message, social media. Social media are all the apps like WhatsApp, Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Gmail, Google Plus. All of those are social media. Everything, Skype, also Zoom, it's a platform for social media because they help you communicate. Okay. A streaming platform, it's a platform in which you can watch TV, you can watch movies, you can watch TV shows, cartoons. That is a streaming platform, okay? And you know all of them. There is Netflix, Disney Plus, Apple TV, Amazon Prime, Hulu, YouTube. All of those are streaming platforms. Email, well, it's, you know what is an email, right? You can communicate with other people in email. A post is what you share on social media. That is a post. Everything that you share on social media, it's a post. You can post on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter. And okay, well, on Twitter, you don't post, you tweet, but it's the same. Okay? Maybe you already remember all of this. Okay? So if you remember, when we talk about an affirmative sentence in present simple, when we use the subject or the pronouns I, you, we, they, the verb that we use, it's in the base form. For example, speak, or play, or watch, or eat, or drink, okay? But when we have the third person singular, that is he, she, and it, we add a S sound at the end. For example, he speaks, she watches, it plays, he eats, she drinks, okay? So these are the rules. So you can know how to add the letter S. When you have a verb that ends in O, CH, SH, double S, X, or Z, you are going to add ES. Instead of watches, you will say, instead of, you have watch, since it ends with CH, you don't only add S, you also add the letter E. And now it is watches. He watches, she watches, it watches. The same with wash, washes, okay? Can you remember another example that ends with O, double S, X, or Z? For example, instead of speak, you say speaks. He speaks, she speaks, it speaks. Only with he, she, and it. Only with he, she, and it, you add a letter S. And according to the spelling of the letters, there are rules that you have to follow to add the letter S to the verb. If the verb ends in O, for example, let me give you an example. For example, go, you have the verb go. Here you don't only add the letter S. It's no goes. That's not the form. You add the letter E, goes, okay? When you have a sentence in present, this is how you use the verbs. And when you have a verb that ends in a consonant, here, pay attention. your verb has to end in a consonant and then Y. For example, study. Here you have consonant. Here you have consonant. And after the consonant, you have Y. When you have consonant Y, you change the Y for I. And that is, instead of studies, studied. It's not cries, it's cries. Can you think of another verb that ends in a consonant and Y? For example, try. Okay. So the next one, for verbs that end in a vowel. Now the vowels are A, E, I, O, U. It's easier if you learn the vowels instead of the consonants, because the vowels, there are only 5, and the consonants, there are 19. So no, there are 20, 21. Yes, 21. So the vowels are A, E, O, U, I, okay? So when you have a vowel and the letter Y, you only add the letter S, like here, play, plays, say, says, okay? That's it. This one is easier. And now for the negative form, we need the auxiliaries. For I, you, we, they, we use the auxiliary do. We use the auxiliary do, and the negative form of do is don't. And for he, she, it, we use the auxiliary doesn't, because doesn't here ends do, ends with O. So we have to add es and add the negative form. If you remember, don't is the same as do plus not. That this is don't. Do plus not makes the word don't. And does plus not makes the word doesn't. Okay? And the verb. Now here, when we have the negative form, we don't add the letter S to the verb. That is very important for you to remember, okay? It's not doesn't likes. It's just doesn't like. That's it, okay? Okay, and for the question, the interrogative form, we also use the auxiliaries do and does here. We use do or does to make questions in the simple present tense. There are only exceptions when we use the questions with to be and modal verbs like can, might, should, etc. But we usually use do or does when we are asking about actions, okay, with action verbs like play, watch, think, run, walk, etc. When we want to know the action. So this is how we make the question. We make the question with the auxiliary do for I, you, we, they, and does for he, she, it. Do you go to the gym? Does she want to play? Does it like milk? Okay. So when you have an affirmative sentence, this is an example of the structure. When you have an affirmative sentence, you begin with the subject, continue with the verb, and a complement. When you have a question, you begin the question with the auxiliary, do or does. In this case, it's do because the subject is you. Okay, so do you, and then the verb speak English and end with a question mark because it's a question, right? The next one, when we have, an affirmative sentence in present, this is affirmative, he speaks English. Notice, we have he, we add the S at the end. He speaks English. To make the question, we begin with the auxiliary does, with the S, does. Now notice that we continue with the subject, but notice that the verb doesn't have the S. It's just the verb, speak, no S. Why? Because the S is right here with the auxiliary. Here is the S, does. Does he speak English? And the question, okay? We have this info. The base form of the infinitive, it's just go, need, speak, live, play, want, like. And here, look, the third person verbs lose the final S in question. When we have a question, the verb with S, it's not there, the S anymore. It goes to the auxiliary, okay?